What about a wish list of guests if you had your pick in the entire world?
Well, Stephen
We
Bartlett.
only have a few minutes.
Stephen Bartlett is going to be my dream.
But you need to write him on LinkedIn. I mean, like now.
Yeah, exactly. But do you know, sometimes it's not just about the famous. It's about the real stories. What about the women that are making the hotel your bed and organizing everything? All the stories that they have to share. I can imagine that is something that I want to bring one day.
Beautiful, your idea about the unsung heroes, right? And or the people in a bit in the background. I think that could be also, as you say, unique stories and the ones that you don't read about, unfortunately, not always in any case.
So please grab a cup of coffee or tea, get comfortable, and enjoy this episode. Welcome to the Brilliantly Branded podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of the Brilliantly Branded podcast. I'm your host, Bárbara Daroca, because today María Lucia is going to be on the other side of the microphone. We're going to flip the script, as you would say. We're going to celebrate 100 episodes, but not just 100 episodes of a podcast, but 100 engaging conversations that María Lucia has made happen, and all of you have been listening to. So, as María Lucia likes to say, grab a cup of coffee or tea, get comfortable, and let's dive into this episode. Maria, how are you today?
Very good. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for generate this idea of doing something together. And this time I am the guest, so open to receive all your questions.
Well, I am super excited. I'm a little bit nervous, and I really feel like a groupie on stage. I've been following your career from the very beginning, obviously. So in truly brilliantly branded podcast fashion, can you maybe start us off by telling us a moment in your life or career that really marked your experience and potentially got you to where you are today?
Well, this is a long story, I think. It says many things that have been happening around. And let's say that I have a short career as a podcaster. That is basically what brought me to develop the idea of having a voice coming from my own and personal story, knowing that I have been feeling that I lost my voice in some point. And then I realized, well, it's something important to have this voice, but not only for me, to give this voice to others. And then the idea come to the reality was born in a brainstorming moment with Philip, my partner in crime, life, my husband. And that was absolutely amazing in the sense that it was challenging. It was something that I have been not thinking I will do someday in my life. And finally bringing that to actions and converting into a reality. So I think it was a moment more that removing the perfection of my life, like everything needs to be perfect. So I just decide it's better done than perfect. And part of the things, we are hesitating. I'm Colombian, so my English is not perfect. And I was, wow, is my pronunciation, the thing that I'm saying, and my way to say things as well. So I was thinking all the time on that at the beginning. But then, you just are committed with something and blessed, made the things happen. And that was how the Brilliantly Branded podcast starts.
I love what you say about better than perfect. I think it's a great way to move from that I'm going to try to I'm going to do, right? And how you mentioned, I stopped thinking about all the things, I might make mistakes. English is not my native language. And potentially, I don't know, I'm not a journalist. What am I going to be asking? How do I prepare for all of this? And then my next question would be, a podcast can be seen from the outside as a place of power, which I think it is, because of course you influence the media and the community around you. But at the same time, for the podcaster, is really a place of vulnerability because you have to put yourself out there. How did you finally overcame the potentially imposter syndrome of, wow, what are people going to think of me? Because yes, one thing is to say better done than perfect, and the other one is to actually be able to say, I did it, even though it might not have been perfect.
Yeah. Well, I love that question because it's part of the things that I am teaching every day in my life to my client and to the people that approach me. And it's actually avoiding the FOPO. I have been speaking about the FOPO. Everybody knows about the FOMO, the fears of missing out. But the FOPO is the fear of other people's opinion.
Mhm.
So I just decide to put this in practice, starting by myself, because we all are having this imposter syndrome, like what other people are going to say, or what are the box that they are going to put me, if I say this or say that in terms of opinion, how I'm going to do that. But I probably decide to stop to be people pleasant, and is I cannot be everything for everyone, because as I have been repeating all the time, I will be going being anyone to anything to anyone. I still don't know how to say that properly. But anyways, that is the point. A lot of doubts, a lot of things, but I think the most important part is jumping to do things, and taking the risk and say, I am going to do that. It doesn't matter. And you start to receive feedback, and this feedback is making you just grow. Good and bad feedback, no? It was not always like, oh, it's perfect, it's beautiful. No, it was sometimes very rush and hard, but always with the purpose, putting the purpose behind, having clarified my path, from the sense that if you have a purpose and the clarity of the reason why you are doing the things that you are doing, that changed completely the equation. Doesn't matter what people said. What most important is, are you generating the impact that you really wanted to generate? So that was my way to see this journey.
Wow. Your answer first resonates a lot with me. Um, and something struck me that you said at the beginning of your answer. Sorry, I don't remember now exactly how you formulated, but the stop caring about other people's emotions, but about my own, emotions, opinions, but my own first and foremost. Because I agree. I think we fear a lot what other people will think of us, probably because that's something that we're already thinking about ourselves. Um, and you said that you this is something that you teach your clients because, as you have shared before, you are a coach also. So, right? How do you teach that to somebody? Because I think this is one of those things that when you explain the theory, it makes a lot of sense. Why are you telling this story to yourself? Why are you talking to yourself this way? But to implement it, that's quite difficult. And you said, yeah, you just try it, go ahead and jump in. And that resonates with me because I also have that kind of character. But I speak with a lot of people who don't have that character and therefore have trouble. So what kind of examples, or maybe, I don't know, even exercises or so, do you do with your clients to that maybe you have yourself gone through and know for a fact this works? This is how you get around that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I have the branding and communication agency that actually is called Brilliantly Branded. So that's why the Brilliantly Branded podcast as well got this name. So what I am doing, I am working and mixing coaching and mentoring, because sometimes in coaching, I am in the process of being certified as a professional coach. There is many things that you cannot say to people how to do that. And as you said, people needs to, in certain way, yeah, they listening to me and then how they can implement it. But I think that is just a drops of empowerment and self-confidence that I have the capacity to deliver to people. It doesn't matter if they are not my clients, just all the people, because part of my purpose as well is touching those hearts. Doesn't matter who, doesn't matter where, but touching the heart of many people in the way that I am delivering this purpose in life. I don't know if you know what is my purpose, maybe no, but it's part of my purpose is roaring louder than a lioness.
Wow. That is a very powerful purpose.
It is, but as well is to say that to myself in order for me to really be committed with something that is my purpose and I am pursuing that. So in the moment that I have feeling that I lost my voice, one of the things is that I was thinking who I am, that I really wanted to others perceive me in this way, because the connection into what you think you are when what others are perceiving from you, as well is part of all this world that I am managing related with branding. So how do you connect these two parts? I know that I am really roaring as a lioness every week when I put out an episode of the podcast, and with all the activities that I am doing around pursuing my purpose to empowering other people as well. So I don't know if that answered your question, or I went to the branches.
No, absolutely. And in fact, I want to double down on the last bit you said. I am roaring louder than a lioness. I am doing a lot of I have the podcast, obviously, for which you are, I can, say really well known now in our community, at least. And you have all these other activities around it, and you are incredibly visible and a pioneer and setting up new initiatives. So I think what maybe some people, and hopefully maybe in this episode, we have newcomers to the Brilliantly Branded podcast, right? Who haven't seen you or heard you yet a lot. They must be thinking to themselves, how could this person have lost their voice at some point in their life? Can we maybe go back a little bit to that moment and how or what happened or what, what moment was it in your life that you felt like, I don't have my voice? Because honestly, now anybody who knows you now, they're not going to believe it.
They know my voice already. Yeah, well, the thing is that there is a moment in your life, and this is part of the learning curve and part of we as a human beings. We are far from perfect, and we have up and downs. And having up and downs make us vulnerable. And when I have been in the moments of vulnerability, it will have been the moments in which I become more creative. And feeling in this moment of vulnerability that I have been losing my voice, it was moments. One moment was arriving, changing continent. I was in Latin America and the United States, and coming to Europe to a completely different world. I mean, let's call a cat a cat. We are very different cultures. And I arrived to Barcelona, that it was as well, Spanish, so very similar. It was not similar at all. Certainly not. No, not at all. I mean, Latin American people like me, and we have certain way to do and to say, to express ourselves, to do the things. And that was a big lesson for me. A lesson to, oh, what should I do? I need to do something to belong to this society or change my life or my personality. And actually, it was very hard for me to belong because it was really very complicated. I love the environment. I went to the sea every day. I got my routines. I was working with a very powerful company. But even though I was not feeling belonging to this environment, so my voice was completely lost. I was arriving to a meeting and I was saying, well, I was transparent in some point. I didn't have my voice. So I came from an environment in the US where I was climbing the ladder in the corporate world very high. So everybody knows who I was and I having my voice. And then you arrive and from a lioness, you become a little mouse. You have a little voice. You say, well, no, because they don't know you. They put you in a box. My box was that the Latin woman that coming from America. So, it's many let's say, beliefs that we all have as a society that unfortunate would put people in boxes. I have been learning how to don't do that anymore. And that's when inclusion comes to my life. But I have been losing my voice. Then I arrived to Luxembourg and started to work in the fintech sector, male dominated industry. You already know what this is about, where it was even worse. So I was every time like a diminishing. That was my feeling. And this is just in my brain. Nobody was making me be in that place. Brian, when you realize that is because of you put all those things in your brain and you are calling yourself in this way. Tell me who's going to come and telling you, no, you are super powerful. Well, maybe this is part of the reason why now I am leading by example. I'm doing this with other people and saying, no, you are amazing. You have this talent. And to make the long story short, yeah, I have been there. I have been having these up and downs, things that make me feel even more vulnerable in moments where not everything is perfect. Is when you are part of the corporate world, you get yourself in this golden cage that is so beautiful because you said, well, I have everything. I everything in certain way, but then you go a little bit inside, you feel empty. I'm feeling this emptiness in my case when I am super creative person. I was feeling cage. And feeling cage was make me think and say, do you know? No, I wanted to really have this voice. I give the voice to other people as well. So this is what I am doing today.
Yeah, right. With 100 successful interviews. And maybe to take it back, because we're celebrating 100, well, we're celebrating, I would say, the 100 done and the 100 to come, because, always keep your eye on the ball and moving forward. But looking back at the 100 done, I remember, as you said, the podcast is called Brilliantly Branded, as you say, out of your communications and branding agency. And I recall in the first chapters or the first time, I don't want to say season, but kind of like the first wave was very much talking about branding, or through the lens of branding, you used to say, women empowerment and so on, through the lens of branding. And I have the feeling that it has evolved in a slightly different direction. But I'm not sure direction is the right word, but it has a slightly different angle now. And it's really celebrating people, achievements, a bit in the sense broader and not necessarily talking only about a personal brand, for example. Was it intentional, or was that something that just evolved of its own? Was it part of a plan? Was there a moment where you said, no, hold on a second, I want to adapt or pivot?
Well, I really, really, really love this question from the sense that actually I love that the branding is embedded all the time since the first episode, still today, because what I am talking is with personal brands. I am talking with people that have already a personal brand, and I am digging into their reputation. I am digging into their emotional connection with other individuals. So all the things are related with branding, related about how we are spreading the voice about who we are. And I am just reinforcing them by celebrating, but empowering them, but actually sometimes letting them know or reassure what they think that they put it there to see what happened. Yes, I have been building this, but be a mother and be a worker and doing these all the things at the same time is quite difficult. And I just dropped a comment like, yeah, but you have been doing even more than that. So, it's still branding, pure branding, because actually branding is not just, and you know that better than me, you're working in marketing for years. So you already know that actually how we build connections, relationships, and connections, emotional connections with others is how we build our personal brands. So at the beginning, let's say the only change it was I was just interviewing women that have been creating brands at the beginning to know how they have been put it outside the sensitivity, a special part of the design, how they decide to run this brand from a woman different than a man. But then I realized that it's not about gender. And women empowerment is not about women, just women. Otherwise, it will be a feminist movement, and this is not. No, that's why I have been bringing and inviting all genders. I let the people talk about their brands. So I brought people that decide to build their own personal brand, just changing gender, doing the transition of gender.
Right. I remember, yeah.
So it's many things. Another person that I brought, it was he wanted to set his story about he decided to get out of the closet, and be part of a different community. So all of the things are making this very focuses in the brand, in your own brand, how you manage who you are in front of the world.
Ah, nice. So does this mean that you plan to continue in the same vein, or are there any, can you tell us already? Are there any,
Yeah.
I assume there are some changes to come, obviously, because like you said, you're super creative and it's not for lack of ideas, I guess. Uh, do you have any specific plans maybe that you can already hint at?
Yeah, well, the thing is that when you start to do the process of creating a podcast with a purpose, you start creating a community. And the community actually is the place where you can start doing stuff. So after 100 episode, I have to say now I have a community that are following me and following my same North Star. So following that North Star is basically I am creating already and launching in a live event. We are going to do a live podcast event on the 9th of July here in Luxembourg with you all, my guests, and all the people that wanted to be part of this community, the community of Brilliantly Branded, is going to come and be part of sharing and building a network, building connections, real connections. So I need to do something with that. And I was trying at the beginning to do something with that, knocking many different doors for sponsor. Please look at me. And everybody was like, oh, yeah, very kind, amazing. Yeah. But, still no. Now, incredibly, after the 100 episode, I have sponsors. I have people that wanted to work with me. I have people that have been coming and knocking the door. Guests, I am not suffering for guests anymore. So I have a long list of people that said I wanted to go. And I am saying that from the humble side because I know how difficult it is to find new guests. I know how difficult it is to delivering and showing up every week. Doesn't matter what. People in holidays. No, I'm sipping a cocktail here. I am editing a podcast or I am trying to having a conversation. You already know what is that. You already know what I am talking about. But the things start to, I am, let's say I am harvest what I have been planting the seeds for almost 2 years.
Yeah. Can I ask a bit of a cheeky question, maybe? You mentioned women empowerment. That is not only about women, or it's not only about gender. One thing we hear a lot about, and I can say I have experienced it myself, is that women, and now I know I'm generalizing, and of course there are different women and different characters and everything, but bear with me for a second. Women don't always necessarily grab the opportunity to come on the podcast and talk about themselves because of education, because of our society, because of many different things. Have you felt that? Have you felt like sometimes you have to pull a bit on your desired guest to get them a bit out of their shell and say, but come on, do share your story. It is worth it. It makes sense. You would really bring value to my community.
Unfortunate, my answer is yes, and many times. And one of these guests, and I was reading her message today in preparation of this interview with you, because that really touched my heart. So I invite her to the podcast, and she said the day that I invite her, "Wow, really? Do you think that I can go to the podcast?" And I was, "Yes. I mean, I love your profile. It's excellent. I am going to do all the process with all the things that I'm preparing to really make the people come to be in a safe place." And she never show up. And I was like, "Well, okay. I mean, it's okay." Then I found her in another event in Luxembourg, and she was quite shy and this, and I was just say hello. And in some point she came and said, "Maria, apologies, really, look, I really was feeling not a self-confidence to do that." And I say, "Doesn't matter, when you want, I'm here." Then in another event happened that I was doing a live recording in an event that they invite me actually in Women in Tech. And she was part of the audience, and I was filming people that come to the event to say what they think about the women in tech and how we can support more women to go into tech. And I say to her, "Will you be able today to do that?" And this woman start shaking. I mean, like, "Well, no, no, no." And I say, "You can do it, you can do it, you can do it." I put her in front of the camera and make her feel in the way that the message that she wrote me today, well, it was not today, it was some weeks when I published the 100 episode celebration. She said, "You have been a woman that when I feel little and belittle, I have been seeing the episode that you record with me, and I have been bringing my powers back." Wow. Wow.
that is so beautiful, and it's amazing to have that type of impact and influence on somebody. I mean,
I'm feeling emotional,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, you can definitely be proud of that, and it's amazing, and it really goes to the core of what you're saying, giving a voice to others.
Yeah.
Allowing
This is
and
just one message. That one message. You cannot imagine how many messages I am receiving from women with gratitude about how, and I am probably not communicating that outside because I am just feeling like, okay, if this is part of my mission, I don't need to communicate that. But if I publish the messages that I am receiving, you will be amazed about how the gratitude of people have been really making me. This is as the applause are for the artist. This is for me my fuel. So I'm feeling very happy about that. Yeah, that is incredible.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, yes, please do feel proud and happy and satisfied and accomplished and all those adjectives together.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Right, you spoke about one experience, and obviously we repeated it a few times, 100 episodes plus. So were there maybe what I mean, I suspect every conversation is unique and every conversation, brings something to you, you learn something. So obviously we're not going to list the 100 now here. And big disclaimer to the listeners, I was one of those conversations, so I am not searching for flowers right now. But were there
Yeah.
maybe, as the one you just shared with us, were there maybe one or two other moments that have a special significance to you? Because I don't know, maybe they made you or reassured you in your purpose and in what you were doing, or maybe that made you doubt whether what you were doing made sense at all. I'd be interested in seeing if there were special moments in that sense.
Yeah, all of the before mentioned have been happening to me. So at the beginning, I was recording, on the first 4 episodes was just voice. And I start to listening to my voice. I was not recognizing myself. I was thinking, who is this person behind the mic? I mean, I say that, but when I say that and how I give the structure and was so I start to realize certain potential. But then when you are in front of a camera, because I was starting to do video podcast, and when I invite people to the podcast, people was saying, "But video podcast, how that works?" So I was starting to experiment it, and of course, each of those experiments was incredible. I mean, I was filming at the beginning with an ironing board that was holding the computer. I mean, what a studio or anything, is I was I was doing that with my headphones and then fixing the sound and well, many things that were happening. So I think each of the guests that I have been invited to the podcast, each of them have been leaving me something to learn from them, something new to learn, something to feel inspired, and especially the courage that they have because a lot of them, once we said, okay, we stop recording, they do
Deflate like a balloon.
deflate like a balloon. They say, oh, I was so nervous. Oh, thank you, thank you very much. But I was so nervous. And it's because this fear of what others are going to say. I was saying the things good. And other stories, people, one of the guests sent me a list. You have to remove this.
Oh, what?
I didn't know. I didn't know that she was recording from the other side of the episode. And she said in the minute X, remove this. I mean, like the secretary was no one. I mean, I was her secretary. I mean, these kind of stories. And then you find that the people that you are thinking it will be possibly complicated because I end up bringing the presidential candidate for Iceland.
I remember that was I was in the car. I was like,
Yes. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, that would be so difficult. And in that moment, we were some days out in holidays. We were in the south of France. So the Wi Fi, all the things, like how I'm going to manage that. Well, happened that was the most beautiful, one of the most beautiful episodes because what he was promoting was solidarity between women.
yes,
And if she is listening to this episode, Sigridur, she is an amazing woman. And she gave me many lessons from the humble side of being in a position of power and still being this empathic person, lovely, many things. I mean, I have no words. And not just her. I mean, I think all the people with the gratitude, with the way that they express how they are sharing, how they are proud because they come to the podcast. So I don't have complaints about that. I have been learning from each of the guests that I have had the opportunity to bring to stay here.
Nice. What about a wish list of guests? If you had your pick in the entire world.
Yeah. Well, Stephen,
We only have 2 minutes.
Stephen Bartlett is going to be my
True. Yes, you need to write him on LinkedIn. I mean, like,
yeah, exactly. But do you know, sometimes it's not just about the famous. It's about the real stories. A part of the thing is, yeah, we all wanted to be bringing just the ones that have been succeeding. But sometimes we don't take in consideration what happened with people, for example. And I'm going to give you a simple example from the hospitality sector. What about the women that are making the hotel your bed and organizing everything? All the stories that they have to share, I can imagine that is something that I want to bring one day, because anyways, they are like us, probably with a different path, but with a very interesting story. So my list is, I'm asking to the universe, what are the next guests that you wanted to send me? And always with gratitude. And the people that I have been attracting, you cannot imagine. I mean, the stories that I have to tell about how the people end up contacting me and how they wanted to put their story across, I cannot even describe it. So, I'm dreaming, yeah. I mean, having this guy that is an inspiration for me, because the quality of all the things that he is doing for me is very inspirational. But as well, everybody can come and have a voice and tell their story, because connecting this with your question before, when people say, but what I am going to say to the podcast, everybody have a story, everybody can share their story, and if they really wanted to generate an impact, we are unique. So we need to share our uniqueness, and that is connected with the world of branding, actually. And the sense, and be connected with our senses, and all these projects that I am working right now is because we need to, in certain way, do the shifting, especially in the speed of life that we are living today.
yeah. Beautiful, your idea about the unsung heroes, right? And or the people in a bit in the background. I wanted to say shadows, but it sounds very dark. So no, more like people in the background. And yeah, that I look forward to that. I think that could be also, as you say, unique stories and the ones that you don't read about, unfortunately, not always in any case. If your moment now in your life, and it's a great moment, 100 episodes of a podcast, for those listening and maybe not familiar with podcasts, that's really like a feat. There are not that many podcasts that get to 100. And I keep saying 100, but guys, it's 100 plus, so we're clear. 100 plus episodes of the podcast, a thriving agency, becoming a coach, being an ambassador in different associations, and collaborating with a lot of people in different sectors, in different initiatives. It's wow, it's like in a roller coaster. You're at the very top. Oh, and goes down in a bad way. What would be the chapter of your episode if this moment in your life was an episode in your podcast?
It's
the title.
incredible.
What would be the chapter? The title.
The title. Incredible that you mentioned that, because in some point in my life, I was talking about that my life was like the Netflix series. And every time when I was changing, it was a different series. And this series, I will call it the Brilliantly Branded series.
Okay.
And the reason why I will call it like that is because I can show right now, and others are perceiving that I have been making myself brilliantly branded. So I have been building my own brand and make it that brilliant by leading by example, by doing, by appear, by connecting, by have the clarity, but listening not just what is externally happening, but listening to myself, listening what is my intuition telling me, who to contact, who to approach, who to remove, what are the noise that I need to remove. So this chapter, it have been, let's say, a moment that I am ready for much, much more. But as well, I'm feeling that I arrive in my life in a point with many things. I don't know if you know, I was recently married. But congratulations. Thank you very much. So probably, yeah, many people don't know. I mean, people think, no, she's already married, but we recently married. So I'm a happily married woman with a career that I love what I am doing, that I have been building by myself just by believing in myself and don't killing my creativity because others are not agree with what I am saying or doing. So this is part of my message to put across is this chapter, you can leave this chapter as well if you decide to take um, responsibility of what you want to do. If you decide to really stop just getting into golden cage and probably that doesn't sound beautiful, but it's a reality. When we decide to be in a golden cage and don't go on pursuing our dreams. So we say, yeah, I have a dream, but maybe when I retire, I'm going to do this, that what I wanted to do a sabbatical year. But maybe when I retire, when you are retired, your knees are going to be painful, your articulation is it is do it right now because the life is too short. And if you are just waiting that something happen, nothing will happen. So actually, this is very interesting. It's something that I was listening today, and is everybody have their personal reality, and the personal reality is building their personality, right? But if
Okay.
you continue doing exactly the same every day, the same routine, the same things, your personality is not going to change. And what your brain is producing is not going to change either. So none of the things that you are planning to change are going to change. I use the word change many times.
Yeah, but it makes a lot of sense, or at least to me. Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit this idea of also of what do they call it nowadays? Manifesting, of like really, yeah, change it in your head first, and the rest will follow. Maybe not immediately, but will start to follow. I think it's beautiful that you call this series the Brilliantly Branded series at this moment in your life, and it's true. But by what you say and how you say it, it sounds really like an accomplished moment, like everything that I have been working for, everything that I have been building. It's a bit like this puzzle pieces. Now everything fits with each other and makes sense, and I can see the full picture, which I think is beautiful. And actually, it's a great kind of like a way to. I had prepared a little game, if you don't mind.
Please, I'm ready. Yes,
And I have
have your hands to the
sheet here next to me because I was thinking that we spoke a lot about branding today also, and every story is unique and how you're helping your clients and so on. And I thought, because we've turned the microphone around and you're the one answering the questions, I thought we could showcase a little bit what you do and how you do it in a bit of a stint. We're not going to give away any trade secrets. Guys, if you want to work with Maria Lucia, you need to pay the price. But we can give you a little bit of a sneak peek on what she can do. So if you want to play, I will give you ideas of people. These are invented, and full disclosure, ChatGPT helped me out. And then you tell us how you would approach either a rebranding or a branding, or them coming out and trying to accomplish what they are trying to accomplish. Should we try with one?
with pleasure.
Okay,
Shooting.
let me see. For example, a burnt out corporate lawyer quitting to open a surf school in Bali. How can they pivot and be credible in what they are doing?
Well, this is interesting profile. If that person decide to go to Bali and start a surfing school, is because was really pissed off about what the law was offering, right? Yeah, so the first things that I need to see is the reasons why that person moved out. Because for sure that person have a story and a strong story.
Mm.
And from that story, other people can learn. So law have many different variants, and this variance is probably a lot of laws, rules, very square environment. And getting into the waves of surfing is given to him the freedom about how to communicate. So his personal story or her personal story will just show how you can change, you can flip and pursuing your dreams. So I think that it will be, in terms of branding, strong enough, and I will never advise to that person that hidden the past, or put the past in a bag and throw it away, because actually the past, it was give this person the structure to show others how to surf.
Oh,
So
wow.
I will do many things there, especially because the strategy behind the concept,
Oh.
all the things will come to be part of that. But the first thing is learn how to surf with your complicated cases on court. Since because you are going to have the freedom to do with the surfboard what you cannot do in a court, so that is giving you freedom. So when we are pursuing freedom, because one of the things that we need to see is what are the pain that we are going to offer.
Mm.
So probably this pain is coming from his own pain to be pissed off in the world of law and deciding to go to Bali and start a new life. So
I love it. Yeah. And really, I mean, and guys, seriously, I asked ChatGPT to give me 15 examples, and I took whenever I random ones out of this. I love but and I'm with your answer. I love how you seriously, I love how you don't deny the past, because it's on at face value, it's quite contradictory, right? This is the corporate lawyer and then the surfing valley, and how you propose to integrate and to use one to build the other. I mean, I think it's amazing, and I'm going to give you immediately another one. Let's Yes. Um, a former spy now working as a wellness coach. How can they come across again as credible and not shady and not, hiding things?
yeah, that is beautiful, because actually we are coming back to putting people in boxes. And when you decide, it's like a wow, spy, I'm not going, I mean, how, but probably I will use that on their behalf. In order, if he is unspied, he know exactly how can I fix my body and how can I bring a wellness to my life. So I will again using the story, because we are unique. Is this is an ex spy, but is this going to have a wellness business? It's not probably connected, but they end up being connected, because the thing that connect these two things is the person that decide to give that step. So the story behind the uniqueness of story. So probably it's not going to be many spies deciding to start a wellness business. I mean, mm,
Or they know us.
or they don't tell us. But the thing is, the only probably thing that I will be afraid about is like, he's going or she is going to check if I am doing my exercises. So it's going to spy on me. It's going to spy on me. But even though I think that each of us have special gifts as well. And if we are pursuing those gifts and we move on from the places that are not given to us what we want,
Hmm.
I think that is already a plus. It's a value there. And these stories are willing to be communicated in the way that generate these awareness in people of inspiration. If they can do it, I can do it. And this is my point of inspiration of seeing how people are shifting, how people are afraid about some of my clients. Is incredible. Part of the corporate world for years, and all of a sudden they decide to start their business. And still, after 2 years, 3 years, they are still thinking in the corporate until they shift. It's a moment. It's a moment when we say, "Oh yes, I am a businessman instead of part of the corporate." So now the decisions, I am the one doing the decisions. No looking for the approval of the boss, or if that, no, you now have the budget, you have the tools, because nowadays we have all the tools that a corporate have. So we can do whatever we want if we decide. That is the point.
Yeah. Nice.
So that person, I will really have a lot of communication related with their own stories of life that really make them unique, and show them in the way that they wanted to be perceived as well. All the connections that we can do in terms of branding and the image and the communication outside, and so on and so on and so on.
Nice. I'm looking at the time, and I want to do just one last one before we
Yes,
leave,
please.
because I had one that I thought was quite interesting. A youngster, it says here 16-year-old, but it could be 18 or 20, it doesn't really matter. A coding prodigy who hates social media. How can they build a brand if they don't have visibility?
This is quite tricky. Can you repeat the beginning? The beginning.
A coding geek, sorry for anybody listening, I don't mean it in any bad way, that doesn't like social media, therefore has no brand, but wants to build a brand because they are a coder that needs to find clients.
Yeah.
How would you convince them to invest in their visibility?
Well, more than investing their visibility is actually investing themselves to know how to communicate between peers, because geeks are talking geek stuff. That's so true. I mean, they probably are in an environment, well, they don't need to go public. They don't need, because they are doing geeky things, they are doing coding, and to know how to communicate with others, they need to invest in themselves, in how for them to know how to communicate, to deliver clear messages, because the way that they think, their brain is formed in certain way. We're at coding mode all the time. But if they don't communicate right outside, then it's going to be like an error. Error 404. It's true. So I think that my invitation will be better just working yourself in order to know what you can communicate outside, because coding is amazing, but coding in teams is amazing as well. And you can do many beautiful things, many beautiful projects. So if you don't know how to communicate with others, you need to start to knowing who you are, to know how you can build your own brand in order for feeling this connection and communicate that outside. Even if it's not just social media, that can be in a networking event, that can be in one of these meetups events where all of them are geeks. Maybe geeks say, hello, 5 - 1, 5 - 4 - 3, whatever. I don't know. I'm inventing. Yeah. But I will dig on that, and we'll suggest that actually.
Oh, nice. Beautiful. Oh, love it. Love it. Oh, this has been so great. And the time just goes by so fast. Maybe one very last question, I promise. And then we'll let people go about their day one.
Yeah.
What would you want the legacy of the Brilliantly Branded podcast to be? If, people study it as a business case in 10, 20 years from now.
I have a structure in the podcast that is learning and inspiration. So it's not my responsibility to make people learn. It's their responsibility. So if just one person have been learning something about the podcast across the guests, across the things that I have been saying, I think this is already a legacy. I am not very ambitious with the legacy, because legacy, only you can know what happened with your legacy probably when you are not already here. So they cannot send me an email when I am under the Yeah. So I think that if people today, because the present is so important, we are building for the legacy, but as well we need to build for the present. So what the people needs today, what the people need to hear about, how we can shift about this world that, as I was mentioning, it is going so fast, how we manage that and how we build more deep connections with the humanity in order for us to have a better life. I am not looking something perfect. I am far from perfect, but I am really wanted to spread the voice and giving to people what they wanted to take away because I am a giver. I have been a giver my entire life and it's part of my values. And having this as a part of my values, I have to give without uh, expectations of receiving. And this is what I have been doing. So that is my legacy for the moment. If I disappear soon, this is my legacy. People can come and take for them whatever they use. I mean, if they are listening to the episodes and they are learning and they are inspired and they are dreaming, well, if I did it, you can do that as well.
Amazing. Amazing. Wow. Thank you very much, Maria Lucia, for today's episode. I still feel like a groupie on stage, as I said at the beginning. I really don't want this to stop, but I appreciate that people have other things going on also. I hope this was a nice episode also for you, a bit of thinking back on the Brilliantly Branded podcast and also thinking forward of what is to come. Thank you for the episode, Maria Lucia.
Thank you for inviting me to be your host today. I think that I was dreaming as well with that because since I I asked you one day why you don't come and be the host and well that's have been an amazing experience. Thank you for your questions, and I am happy that we are in this world now as fellow podcasters because I would love to be in your podcast as well at some point.
Well, just don't hang up when we're done here. Pick it right up.
So thank you very much.
And I will see you in episode 200.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic.
Thank you, Maria Lucia.
I'm grateful by having you as a listener on this episode. I am in the mission of empowering thousands of women around the globe, and I need your support for that. Help me to spread the voice by sharing this episode and subscribe to our social media channels. And remember, if you want to listen to exceptional stories and have someone that inspires you, please get in touch with me because I will love to have them as a guest to learn from their experience and share their story with you next time. So until the next episode, ciao ciao.